Hello youth group, and also going to be send this to parents just for updates on what we're talking about in youth group. So the next couple of weeks we're talking about the theme that's what we just talked about, the theme relate, and how we relate to ourselves, other people, romantically, friendships, family, and also the world around us, and what it means for us as people of faith. So I wanted to kind of make these videos just to recap, so you guys at home can be looking things up if you weren't able to, or if you're a parent and you want to, hi doggy, if you want to just stay in the loop of what we're learning and talking about and can further the discussions at home too. I wanted to kind of give you this resource. Yes, I am in my bedroom and my doggy is right here, so I'm a little distracted, but hey, quarantine life, that's what happens at times. So just a recap of what we talked about this past Sunday for self. I'm going to give you like the key points and also verses that we touched on for further discovery at home throughout this week, although it's already Thursday, so sorry. I'm hoping to get these videos to you a little earlier, working on that and trying to figure that out. But so we talked about for ourselves our mind, our body, and our soul. And for our mind, our main verse that we looked at, a couple verses, was it wasn't 1 Corinthians, it was Colossians 3:12, Philippians 4:8, and Romans 12:2. And these just talk about things about how our minds need to be set on things above, and how we can think on different things. Even though the world tells us we need to think about X, Y, and Z, God tells us that our thoughts need to be thinking of things this way, or on heavenly things, like I said. I did mention something that I think is a cool resource for people that deal with anxiety and depression. A counselor that I was listening to in a seminar that I was able to listen to mentioned the think principle, and you go through different things for each letter. So the T represents true. Is this thought true that I'm thinking? The H represents, is this helpful? The I represents, is this inspiring? The N represents, if it's necessary, is this a necessary thought that I need to have? Kind, or the K is for kind, so that's THINK for think. Is it true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, kind? So hopefully that can be a helpful resource to you. I thought it was really insightful, especially now when I know our minds are maybe going crazy for different things. Hopefully that can help center yourself, and also can relate back to that Philippians 4:8 verse, which is the whatever verse. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. So that was our goal, to think about ourselves and think about where our mind has been at, and like maybe different struggles that we face. And then when we talked about our body, we talk about how we need to take care of them, and much more than just like eating healthy or exercising. Like that stuff is important, but more so just that we need to also not harm our bodies. So we addressed just a couple things that, you know, teenagers hear and maybe face themselves, like self-harm and cutting, eating disorders, vaping, smoking, drugs and alcohol, addiction, and all of those things. And we looked at the verse in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, if you want to look those up, that talk about how our body is a temple, and that our body is not our own but the Lord's. And so as we were thinking about those things for our body, those things may feel good in the moment or may numb us, but in the end we're not taking care of our temple, we're not taking care of our homes, that is the body that God has given us. And if that's something that your child faces or you as a youth face, I encourage you to share with someone that you trust in your life and talk about these things, because like I said in youth group, these are real struggles, and we don't want to come at it with judgment or shame, but in grace and mercy and love and compassion and forgiveness, because that's the way that Jesus, you know, looks at all of those struggles, and is compassionate and self-sacrificing and loving towards those things too. So that's what we talked about for our bodies. And then lastly, our soul, we talked about how this is what makes up our mind, will, and emotions, our personalities, who we are as individuals. It makes us us. And as Christians, we believe that our souls will go to be with God and rest in peace in the heavenlies, and that we will, be able to live on for eternity. And also the soul in Genesis, it talks about how God breathed into Adam and he became a living being. So we are living beings because we have, our souls and everything. And I forget the exact, the verses were Genesis 2:7 and then Matthew 16 and to 16:26. And then over all of those things, and as we talk about this theme of relate, we want to use the umbrella, which I'm not sure if I shared Sunday or not, but that we are coming at it from the context of Matthew 22:37, which is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So we are going to talk about that. I mean, we already covered like the mind, soul, body portion, but also just as we are relating to other people in relationships and friendships and family and to the world, what it looks like to love them, and also love ourselves and to be self-sacrificing as well. So yeah, that is just about covers what we did this past Sunday. And the Sunday coming up, we are going to be talking about romantic relationships. We're going to be talking about singleness, and we are going to touch a little bit on sexuality as well. And I know those are all very important topics that your teenagers and you as youth are facing a ton with school and friends and peers and just growing up in the age group that you are in. So there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I'm hoping we can just hone in on a few things. And again, having that umbrella of like, well, where is my heart in all of this? Am I loving God with my actions and in my relationships? What does that look like? So yeah, if there's anything else that I can help with, please let me know. Reach out, text, call, email, whatever. And hopefully this was helpful as a Sunday recap.